Hello, thanks for joining me. So, we got a little drive here. Figured we'd talk a little about the barr hearings yesterday. Now, admittedly, I didn't get to watch a lot of them because I was working, but I did see the highlights and I saw enough of it to know that it was exactly what I expected. You have to give it up for the Democrats for staying on message, for being complete. Like they're like the Borg. If you watch Star Trek, like there is no wiggle room between them. They get their talking points. They're focus grouped. From on high comes the message of their talking points. You know, from the establishment Democrats that want to destroy this country and hate you and hate all the citizens of it and want to usher in globalism. They get these talking points and they stick to them. Period. Truth be damned. They don't care about the truth. In fact, the truth's just a racist concept anyways. So they don't care at all about that. All they care about is power for them. That's it. And so when they have these hearings, just like when you saw with the Rosenstein hearing, you've seen with tons of hearings beforehand, they are incredibly contemptible and the most smug, arrogant, dislikable people that you could imagine. They show themselves for who they truly are when you get to see hearings such as this. So on one hand, like, they can have a hearing with, someone like Peter Strzok, who mocked Trump supporters, talked about insurance policies, committed crimes, committed treason against the President of the United States. Thank you so much for your service. We're so glad that you're here. But Bill Barr, who, by the way, I have criticisms of, I don't think he's done enough arresting the actual coup, the people engaged in the coup, but they treat him like he's just scum. And so what this was they want to hear from Barr. They want Barr to be there. Okay, the man shows up. Now, what were the questions you have for them? They ask him a question, and then he responds for 5 seconds. They're like, I'm reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time. It's not a discussion. They didn't need Barr there. What it was photo ops for them to kind of throw out their propaganda. And they know the media is complacent with it. That's what this is. If we had any sort of objective media whatsoever, they would have called this out for the deranged garbage dog and pony show that it was. That's exactly what they do. And they would say, these are your leaders in the Democratic Party? Think about this. And when I do a live stream next, I don't know when I'll have time, I'll show you the clip of this. Imagine this. You're the Democrats and you're saying, oh, Barr's this horrible guy and he's doing all this terrible stuff. And if only we get him under penalty of perjury to come in and answer some questions so we can see what's really going on. The guy that's running the show, Nadler, fell asleep. The guy fell asleep. This is the witness that you've been asking for, clamoring for so long. And then he gets in front of you and you just refuse to let him talk and you actually fall asleep while he's talking. That's our leaders. That's the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, they continue to make fools of themselves. Here's some of the themes of it. Russia hoax. What Russia hoax? No, Russia did interfere, despite the fact that Mueller showed conclusively in his report that no one involved in the United States, let alone Trump's campaign, illegally did anything to affect the 2016 election with Russia. They're still beating that horse, the Russia hoax. Still going with it. Remember, at the same time that they're telling you and Trump supporters and Trump that he's xenophobic, he's the one who wants to drum up terrible relationships with countries around the world he doesn't like. They're seeing Russians under every bed. They want to drive us closer to conflict with Russia. So they're still going with that. And then, remarkably, though not really remarkably at this point, they continue to defend not the peaceful protesters, but the rioters. They continue to run interference for them and allow rioters to tear down cities in this country. How many people have died? The death toll's adding up. Well, we just saw, that peaceful in Minneapolis. Remember the peaceful fires? The first couple days after the George Floyd thing, then they found a dead body in the fires, and then we had David Dorn that was shot, and we had the Antifa member that got killed in Austin, and we had the shooting in Provo, and all sorts of it. It's over 20-something people now that have died as a result of these riots. And it's still being deflected. That's untold number of lives. People lost property. People lost their businesses. People were physically beaten. And they're still... What violence? Violence? This There's violence? That. Oh, you mean Trump? Yeah, Trump's violence. The police are all racist. They're all violent. Remember this, the very people that told you you couldn't criticize the FBI, even when we started to see that they were engaged in a coup, because criticizing the FBI was criticizing law enforcement, are now saying that law enforcement are stormtroopers and that they don't have the right to respond to people enacting violence and rioting. The very same people. And the whole press conference was a joke. It was an absolute joke. Yeah, you're right, Daniel. They do have blood in their hands. They have blood in their hands over the hydrochloroquine episode. They have blood in their hands over the fact that they've actively cheered. One of the things I forgot to talk about the other day with Dr. Fauci, I mean, just go look at a chart and see which states have done the worst. Which states have the most people per capita that have died through COVID. New York's second, New Jersey's one. Fauci's saying New York's the model that the other states should be using. So, sending positive patients into nursing homes, causing 70% of the deaths in the state to be from nursing homes, then deflecting and saying, oh, it's not my fault, it's Trump's fault. That's the model Fauci wants us to use. He's not political or anything. No. Then we have the media, Silicon Valley, censoring a bunch of doctors that do a press conference talking about how hydrochloroquine works, about how we need to allow students to go back to school. I don't know that those doctors are right, by the way. I think that it's pretty much concluded that influenza is a bigger threat to children and more infectious and deadlier to children in schools than COVID is. I think the science is almost conclusive on that. As far as hydrochloroquine, it looks good to me, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I couldn't tell you. But the fact that we were told, trust the doctors, trust scientists, over and over, we had to accept anything they said uncritically. Now when you have a bunch of doctors and scientists saying something they don't like, they censor them. I saw Don Jr. on Tucker last night. He got censored and banned from Twitter for 12 hours and had his post removed, just showing the video of these doctors saying hydrochloroquine worked, because Twitter deemed that was spreading false information. But last week when Jake Tapper tweeted out a study that showed hydrochloroquine worked, he didn't get banned for tweeting fake information. Why is that? It's an absolute joke. And it's going to get worse. They will do everything they can to destroy this country. The bargain that the Democrats make is this. We will destroy the country. We will cause you to be locked down. We'll strip you of your rights. We'll collapse the economy. We'll encourage the facilitation of a disease. We'll kill old people. We'll keep you from taking medications or even talking about potential medications that could save lives. We'll encourage riots. We'll encourage the fact that if you're against these riots, you should be canceled. You should be fired from your job or not allowed to speak out. If you try to defend yourself from these riots, then we'll go after you legally. Unless you elect us. Hey, thanks so much, Joe. Eyes are on the road. Thank you. I'm going to lose you up here in a second, by the way. Thanks so much for the donation, Joe. But they will do anything and anything to make this country as unlivable as possible. Listen, the average person, people like me and you that are watching this, you're probably more in tune politically with what's going on than the average person. I mean, you're watching some fat guy rant about politics on his way home from work. But the average person, all they know is, my life sucks right now worse than it did last year. And who are they going to blame? Leadership. And then you have this entire propaganda apparatus, every institution of power in this country, saying it's Trump's fault, it's Trump's fault, it's Trump's fault. Covering up, encouraging all of the crap that I just told you that's destroying this country. It might work. They are truly the most despicable people you could imagine. They're truly evil. And I don't say this lightly. I talk to people on the left, as you know, and I try to assume the best possible motivations for people. I really do. But these people in positions of leadership in the Democratic Party, the ones that you saw at the hearing with Barr, they are horrible. They hate this country. They absolutely do. And it's time that we have Republicans or conservatives, if not the Republicans, because half of them are just as worthless, start to stand up and say, you people want this destruction. Everybody knows. We all know that if Joe Biden wins, which will be Kamala Harris running the show, if Joe Biden wins, COVID just like that won't be a big problem. The riots just like that won't be a big problem. Everybody knows it. Everyone. We all know it. There we go. Should be back now. Sorry about that. But yeah, everyone knows that's the case. So they're still going with Russia. And it's funny, right? They have all these things individually. I know, we'll have a coup against the president and smear him with this Russiagate stuff. Oh, that didn't work? Okay, how about this pandemic and the intentional destruction of the economy? Oh, that didn't work? Okay, well, how about we'll have massive riots and we'll basically call everyone racist who disagrees and wants to defend themselves? Okay, that didn't work? They're just going to keep piling on. But you could see yesterday with Barr, they're still keeping the old oldies but goodies alive. They'll still keep Russia alive. They're just going to try to add it. Never mind the crimes they committed. Never mind the collusion that we know was committed through the Ukraine with the Democratic Party, through Russians that were sourced in the Steele dossier to spread disinformation and to spy on Donald Trump. Never mind the crimes we see of the Obama administration. Never mind we see the Democrats intentionally crushing the economy. Never mind we see that Democratic governors intentionally spread COVID. Never mind we see the Democrats intentionally trying to stop doctors from talking about treatments they've had that were successful against COVID. All of that, we have to ignore all that. Oh, Trump does mean tweets. Trump must be a racist. Trump's the xenophobe. Where are your leaders calling this out? Where are they? Why is it left to people like us? Well, because that's always the case. We can't sit around and wait for a leader. We have to be able to do things on our own. So, all right, everyone. I'm not sure when I'll be doing my next live stream. I'm so busy with my 2 jobs here, but hopefully I'll see you soon. I might be doing a collaboration here later in the week with people too, so I'll let you know. So